The famous Harpersville Trestle. This is one of the most historic landmarks on the entire D&H. Harpersville has seen a number of trains over its years. The trestle has made it all possible for the D&H to get from one side to the other. The Harpersville Trestle has seen everything from camelback locomotives, Jeep locomotives, D&H Challengers, Alco P8s, Baldwin Sharks, and even a big boy. See those photographers there? Take a note of where they're standing, and take a note of that bridge. It's also seen its fair share of modern diesels and many different railroads. NYSW, these are B40s I believe. It has also seen CP Red, D&H Lightning Stripe, Albany and Susquehanna in the early years, and nowadays the bridge mostly sees Norfolk Southern black and white, but will occasionally see CSX blue and yellow. I'm not at the Harpersville Trestle to rail fan today, as it's senior pictures as it's my graduating year. But remember the bridge that the photographers were standing on? Well, Harpersville used to be a junction too, where the Susquehanna Division kept going north and the Penn Division went south. What's the Penn Division? The Penn Division was the D&H's way to get into Scranton, PA. Unlike the Susquehanna Division that we rail fan often, the Penn Division is abandoned, seeing its last train in 1985 and being ripped up starting in 1987. See the outlines of those trees right there? Well, in those trees, it makes a perfect line, right? In those trees is the roadbed of the former Penn Division. This footage was shot from the car, obviously. But our next stop is Windsor, and to get to Windsor, we follow the old Penn Division. I've slowed down the video dramatically, but you can see where those flat leaves are, or that flat land right there in between us and the river is the old roadbed. It's insane to know that big freight trains, Alco PA specials with passengers, big Challengers, everything that the D&H had rolled here at some point. Basically, from Harpersville to Windsor, you can easily pace the old Penn Division. At some places, you can see where the line would have disappeared and moved away from the road. Starting right here, it could have split and went off a little backwards towards in the woods. But now, the Penn Division is mostly used for hiking, walking, and ATVs. And I'm sure in the winter, deer love this. Deer usually follow clear paths, is what I'm told. And the former roadbed would do perfect for them. D&H trains would run from Binghamton all the way to Harpersville, following the Susquehanna Division, and splitting off the Susquehanna Division in Harpersville to get onto the Penn Division. But you might be thinking, current day, does NS have a way to get into Scranton? Yes. However, they use former LACKAWANNA trackage. We'll get back to that LACKAWANNA trackage in a little bit. But the point being, there's two ways to get into Scranton. What's cool about the roadbed is that it'll disappear and you can see how development has taken over the line. It'll disappear in some places. But you can find the roadbed once again to Windsor. Windsor was a stop on the Penn Division, and it's our next stop for photos. Windsor, New York served the D&H for many years. This photo in particular here was in 1969. No trains have come through this tiny town on the border of PA since 1985. But unlike many places on the former Penn Division, Windsor seems to remember its history, as there is a caboose here, and a handcart in D&H paint and lettering. I'm not sure what year the handcart is from, but I do know the history of the caboose here. The depot also makes a good stop for pictures as well. And there's lovebirds in the area, wink wink. This caboose right now is lettered and numbered D&H 434931. Even though it's striking and I absolutely adore the D&H paint on this thing, its history is not with the D&H, surprisingly enough. And unlike most cabooses, this caboose has ditch lights, which was not a thing on the D&H. This caboose traces its history back to Canadian Pacific as CP 434931 and is nicknamed Angus Caboose because the caboose was built at the Canadian Pacific's Angus shops. The caboose was retired by CP in 2011, and in 2013, the Village of Windsor purchased CP 434931. and repainted it to replicate the D&H's cabooses. But back to the Penn Division itself. These two photos here are from Lanesboro, PA, where the Lackawanna and the D&H crossed over each other. Both railroads would eventually end in Scranton, near Taylor Yard. And then the Penn Division would continue south down to Wilkes-Barre, PA, to meet up with the Pennsylvania Railroad for interchange traffic, mostly anthracite coal. But into Conklin, New York, we find a train switching at the very edge of the yard. In 1981, the D&H would buy up the Lackawanna line between Binghamton and Taylor, meaning the Penn Division would see less and less traffic. And as I said before, the last train ran on 1985, and the Penn Division was completely abandoned in 1987. The line just had too much swampland, and it was much slower. The Lackawanna line was on much firmer ground, easier to maintain, and was much faster. I believe this is NS train K83 working the yard near Conklin. He looked like he had cars from 11R and 30T in his contest, and he was switching the cars around. Yard jobs can be pretty fun and easy to watch. First off, you don't have to do much chasing with yard jobs. And two, sometimes they tend to stay in the same spot. So not much planning or movement needs to be made. So I'm just going to leave you with this montage of K83 working the end of Conklin Yard. Note the train was backing up. We thought the engines were going to get close for senior pictures, but they never did for another 25 minutes. And unfortunately, our photographer had to leave to go for another shoot. We will see the engines, but unfortunately, I didn't get a picture with them, if you know what I mean. But hey, at least I got a train in the background for one picture.
He's like, I will keep it.
CP and CN boxcars would have used to travel on the Penn Division to get to Pennsylvania. I imagine these CP boxcars and the CN boxcars are loaded with paper products. Paper was a hot commodity on the D&H. And now we go back the other way, it looks like. This is a local, they're probably switching cars around for other trains. It's hard to know what's actually going on here, and that's the difficulty of being a spectator in this situation. You don't really know what's going on. And drivers on the road can get frustrated with these types of trains, because all they see is a train moving back and forth across the crossing. And while I was here, we had a total of 3 cars turn around and go the opposite direction because they were tired of waiting. With each cut and with each move, the engines kept getting closer, even though they were pulling away in the shop. The 2 engines on this train are a couple of classic old EMD'S, except one of them is rebuilt. SD40-2 number 3483, and a familiar face to the channel, SD60 6953. Should have my scanner, I knew what was going on. That second set of tank cars all the way down at the very end is the tail end of the train currently, because those golf carts went right behind them. Also, while I was here, I noticed that sign off to the left. Norfolk Southern is trying everything possible to make sure you are off those tracks, including put that big sign up. I wish we had more of them around the country. The 3483 is ex-Burlington Northern SD40-2 number 7279 and built in 1980. The 7279 saw many owners, with BN, BNSF, and FURX as a leaser. In 2012, Norfolk Southern bought the 7279 and renumbered it to 3483. The 3483 has a small D&H sticker under the cab window and next to the number, while the other unit in this concept, NS 6953, has spent its entire career with Norfolk Southern. Before being rebuilt, it was SD60 6574. The 6574 was originally built in July 1985, before Norfolk Southern rebuilt the unit in May 2013 into the 6953 as an SD60E with new cab and electronics. Unfortunately, we couldn't stick around forever to watch the switching moves, so we headed home, and later that night we caught train 265 heading south. 265 is daily intermodal traffic out of Air, Massachusetts, bound for Chicago, Illinois' 43rd Street Yard. We're filming NS 265 in the village of Bainbridge. Bainbridge sits on the former D&H Susquehanna Division. Technically, this is the third rail line we have been on today, if you count the Penn Division, despite having no tracks now. The D&H Susquehanna Division was a primary route between Binghamton and Albany. I said 265 is out of Air, Massachusetts, but actually that's not the case with this one. This 265 I have nicknamed the Mechanicsville Express, or at least the southbound version, as there is nothing from AR Massachusetts on this train. Everything is from Mechanicsville, New York. How do I know this? Because double stacks are not permitted on the Pan Am, or now the Berkshire and Eastern, from Mechanicsville to AR. So the double stacks originate in Mechanicsville, along with the auto racks, which are just as tall. Originally, this line was owned by the Albany and Susquehanna, and they were the ones that built the line from 1851, and they operated it to 1871. In 1871, the Albany and Susquehanna joined the D&H, and from 1871 to 1991, the D&H would operate the line. Well, at least the name D&H would stick around. Towards the end of the run, NYSW had to operate the D&H due to the D&H being in financial ruin with their mergers with Guilford. In 1991, Canadian Pacific bought the line and operated the line from 1991 to 2015. In September 2015, Norfolk Southern bought the line and operates it to this day in 2023. We've seen red cabooses, so it's time for a red Maine. This is NS 4002, the red Maine. It was leading 31T. 31T travels the entire D&H from Binghamton all the way into Montreal. NS 4002 is the third ever AC-44C6M rebuild ever to happen. It carries its red Maine paint scheme to represent the Roanoke shops where this engine was rebuilt. Its sister unit, 4003, also carries this paint scheme. 4004 and 4005 represent the Juniata shops with a blue Maine. And just like the red caboose earlier in the video, that's an end to this video. We'll see you next time.